Knowing exactly what the bass are eating in the fall can really help your day out and solve, a big piece of the puzzle before you ever get to the lake. Most of the country, the shad that were hatched out early in the spring during the shad spawn in April, May, June, just depending on where you are, those shad have grown up now to where they're, what the bass are feeding on. A lot of those shad, take a threadfin for example that was, in that spring spawn in May. In October, that fish is up to 1.5 inches, 2, maybe a little over 2.5 inches, just depending on, how early it was hatched and just how warm the summer's been. So those 2.5 inch shad, man, those are just schools and schools of those bait fish from that spring hatch. And that's what so many of those bass key in on if it's a shad-based lake. The other kind of things, up north, there's so many perch in a lot of those places. There's smelt, there's different kinds of bait fish in those places. And some of the lakes in the Carolinas and Georgia, those type of places, there's a lot of herring, a lot of blueback herrings that are in those lakes. And further south, it may be still more of a bluegill or shellcracker or even some shiners. Something that's spread across the whole country are crawfish. There's crawdads in basically every lake, every river, coast to coast in this country. So there's always gonna have that crawfish bite. And you can never, I'm not able to actually follow the hatching and when those things, when more of them come out or anything, but you can look around the bank at the boat ramp, kick some rocks around, and notice if there's just a huge abundance of them or if it just kind of seems to be a normal amount. But those are really the things that the bass are feeding up on in the fall. And if you can be out there on the water and just pay attention with your eyes and your ears, listening for those fish feeding, and try to pay attention to what those bass are feeding in on, and try to, match something very similar to the size as well as the color to what those bass are feeding on. Those are going to be a big thing in the fall of the year for catching the most fish.